Good afternoon. It's Tuesday, 31st of March. I'm back in the region Nook on a bright, sunny and warm day. Perfect weather for being out here and unboxing. I have yet more parcels to unbox and of course a cup of tea. So here we go. This is from drive-thru-rpg.com. You can tell by the packaging. Just be careful because the cardboard is quite sharp and I've cut myself on it before. So here we go, that's beginning to come apart. Yeah, the glue is very strong on this parcel. Wow. Yeah, literally just to rip that open. So, okay, what have we got in here? We have Never Going Home. The war is already at war. Now the veil has been torn. The whispers promise you power. You may live long enough to lose your humanity. Complete role-playing rules, 9 national profiles, 6 magic paths, 12 monsters, and 3 adventures. This is from Wet Ink Games, and it is a role-playing game of the First World War, which is not often covered in role-playing, primarily because it's a difficult conflict to depict in role-playing. World War II is a whole lot easier, primarily because when we think of World War I, we think of the trenches and very static battles with very limited manoeuvring and basically going back and forth, basically forces moving back and forth for occupation of very little territory. Now, not all of the world was fought like that. Basically, if you go to somewhere like Iraq and Iran, Persia, the combat was different, also in Africa and so on. But primarily when we think of First World War, trenches, no man's land, mud, machine guns, artillery and gas. Very static, whereas World War II, not mobile, lots of movement, lots of scope for small scale actions, which is the sort of thing that player characters and a party are suited to. So White Box, there's a White Box, Operation White Box, World War II role-playing game for the OSR, does that perfectly. You have Weird War 2 for Savage Worlds from Pinnacle Entertainment and so on. But Never Going Home, World War I Great War role-playing game from Wet Ink Games, and this is a horror role-playing game. It's a party-focused role-playing game set in a horror-haunted trenches during the First World War. If that sounds good to you, skip this page and get ready to deploy. If not, if you aren't sure, read on to see if Never Going Home is for you. So basically you've got a description here of what the game is about, what a role-playing game is, that it's party-focused, using the +1 system, horror-haunted. There's a veil between worlds has been opened up by the slaughter from the war, and the monstrous whispers of beings wholly alien to humanity can now be heard. Some people have listened to the whispers enough to gain arcane powers and now struggle to maintain control of their minds, and bodies begin to change. Others are too far gone, mutated into barely recognisable versions of their former selves. War consumes the days and monsters stalk the nights. Not even dreams are safe. Players manage their character's mental and emotional resources with a dwindling hand of cards. Basically, the First World War, settings the real Earth, and the characters are all humans. Terrible new element has added to the war, but the true horrors of the real war are a part of the story as well. The game is set in the years between when the veil was torn in 1916 and when the war really ended in 1918. The focus is on the frontline soldiers who are fighting and experiencing the worst of the magic and the monsters. There was some mention made of, but little exploration of the home fronts of any of the belligerents, and civilians only appear in passing. Thank you for reading. Now you know if your game is for you. Your first mission is waiting. The other game I think that was sort of explore the First World War is Trail of Cthulhu. There are a number of adventures set basically in the trenches and in the air. There are reviews of those on my blog. So essentially there's the little book, look at the artwork, quite a simple system. It's describing okay, and uses of cards. Standard use of playing cards with 2 jokers is used to represent the emotional resources and memories of the characters. For 6 or more players, you need 2 decks. So spades cover knowledge, clubs, things, hearts, relationships, diamonds, self, ambition, and hopes. And the jokers are wild. And yeah, it seems to be interesting how this plays out. Explanation of corruption, basically whether through whispered or an adversary ability, mission incident, and using the Black Joker character advancements. And we've got sample combat there just to showcase how the rules work. Combat, I mean, I like player examples are always good because essentially, if you can't quite grasp how the rules are meant to work, then looking at an example, a good example, will explain why, and you can go back and read the rules and go, oh, okay, I can see how that works. And essentially, in this, it's the whispers, the powerful beings from beyond the veil whisper through the cracks in reality. And those who choose to listen to these whispers learn how to manipulate reality. The individuals may sell themselves as keepers of our ancient knowledge or as heralds of the Earth's new masters. So there's an element of the Lovecraftian here in this as well, which kind of echoes back to the scenario No Man's Land set on the Western Front, with the investigators confronting ghouls taking advantage of the great carnage of the trenches. And I think this, though, kind of makes the ultra magical elements a bit more explicit. Obviously, as seen as in this artwork, which obviously you wouldn't normally see in a depiction of troops from World War One. So you have basically great artwork like that. And again, that gets through sort of like some of the imagery of what you're going to see. Basically, burning cities, bombs, and basically shelled cities and so on. And throughout, the other thing you've got are letters home, excerpts from documents which expand upon the setting and explain it. We have explanations for different of the belligerents. So essentially, Allied powers, France, the British Empire, Russian Empire, and so on. Italy, United States of America. And then the Central Powers, Quadruple Alliance, German Empire, Austria-Hungary, Ottoman Empire, and so on. We've basically gone to a guide of running the game. There's no advice about use of the X card against dealing with issues that player characters are going to be uncomfortable with. This again, it's going to be an interesting horror game, and we have antagonists, non-human, non-supernatural threats. We get on to basically supernatural threats include sort of Hallow Sister, Galley Sister, or Nightingale. Perhaps they were nurses with the Red Cross who were cut off in the war zone. Maybe they were nuns whose abbey were destroyed. They could just be volunteers who took to helping injured when they could. Whatever their origin, the sisters have become a frequent, if not altogether welcome presence on the battlefield. Essentially, they are almost supernatural healers on the battlefield. Obviously, other supernatural elements are not going to be as benign. Cackling horror, corpse feeder, disfigured. Because it's interesting what's often forgotten is that there were as many men were killed on the Western Front. Many more were injured, and some of the injuries obviously couldn't be seen. Some led to amputated limbs, but some were even would leave the men disfigured and so on. And there was an industry in basically prosthetics to try and make the men appear less disfigured, and that's been addressed. And there's a couple of things in Call of Cthulhu where that's addressed. And essentially they would continue being wounded for life. We have weirder creatures like the skin thief and the slug mule. So skin thief and the slug mule. It gets a bit weirder than perhaps I expected. Trench gremlins. It's gremlins were something that were famously invented as an explanation for bullet holes appearing on aircraft and other damage. So finally we've got Belly the Beast, a mission briefing, and so on, and a couple more like that. So this is an interesting role-playing game to actually review. Again, it's from Wet Ink Games. I will have a link to that down below very soon, and a review in due course. In the meantime, thanks for watching another unboxing in the Nook. If you've enjoyed this, please click the like button. If you need comments or feedback, then basically I take the time to read those. And if you want to be notified of more incidences of me sat out here with a cup of tea and a book I'm just chatting about, then please do subscribe. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching another unboxing in the Nook. I will be back soon. Bye for now.